So as Maggie is writing, so thank you so much, Maggie. I really do appreciate you. You're starting to do this for us. Can someone volunteer to respond to either me or Maggie?
I'll do it, Mr. Chalecki.
Is that Gemma?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Maggie, by the way, I should have said this to you earlier. You can ask for assistance, because we're all doing this together. So, I mean, not from me. I rather that you ask assistance from students because you're the ones that are going to be writing this. So I don't know if you can do that. However you want to do it, that's fine. But if someone wants to help you out, by all means, definitely ask for the help. Because I really want everyone, and so far I appreciate what you've written so far. You can definitely the whole class can go much deeper. So I like how you kind of set it up already. But if you want assistance, just ask, and maybe someone can. I will add that person to our document so they can help you out as well. You may want to include Maggie as an explanation or an interpretation as to why you think it's interesting to you, the connection between the landscape and then the emotional and psychological state of the characters. Like, why did you find that interesting? And I think that would be a great way to kind of develop that idea that you're now introducing in your conversation.
I'm kind of struggling to like form words.
I'm so thank you for saying that. So, classmates, your peer Maggie has told you that she's struggling. So when someone struggles in our class, as a community of scholars, we help each other out. So let's help her out. Hmm.
I think I'm done with my response.
Okay. Could you do me a favor, Maggie? Can you unbold it?
Yeah.
Thank you. Awesome, thank you. I really I don't know if you can hear by the tone of my voice, but I really do appreciate the bravery. This take more than just courage; it's bravery to do this in front of everybody. So I really do appreciate your endeavor, your effort to put that on to use the conversation. So thank you very much.
I finished.
Okay. So as a class, can we give them a round of applause, please, for their contributions, please?
Yeah, got it.
Okay. That was very brave of you both. Thank you very, very much. Okay, Maggie, I'm gonna read my part, and then you're gonna read your part, Maggie, and then Gemma, you're gonna read your part. Even though we can see it, but reading it, I think, adds a whole other different level. So my example is imagery and language, and my textual evidence is the red country and through to the white in the gray country. Page 1. The initiator is Mr. excuse me. The initiator is Mr. Chalecki, and this is what I wrote. The imagery conveys an apocalyptic environment. Even though it is early spring, May, the climate is torrid and feels unwelcoming and uncomfortable. It lacks the rebirth, vitality, and optimism that the season of spring typically brings. There is a lack of life in so much that the weed metastasizes and covers the natural red and gray terrain. An alien and pernicious life form becomes the dominant feature of the setting. Excuse me. Even though the clouds are whisked away from the place because it finds the location inhospitable, due to the intensity radiating from the sun, it bakes the Earth's crust, changing the color and texture of the landscape. It appears only death lingers here, forcing the characters to choose either make most of this barren and dispirited place or be swallowed by the cracked and scorched earth. The hostile and desolate environment may be a metaphor for the psychological and emotional state of the characters. And considering this is how the novel begins, it may suggest that the characters, through interactions with others, and more importantly, through self-reflection, they're able to nourish themselves morally and emotionally, therefore gaining the strength to psychologically leave the apocalyptic world. So that was mine. So Maggie, can you read yours, please?
Okay.
Thank you.
Alright. I agree with your opinion on how you describe this apocalyptic setting. The way the setting is described in the first chapter makes it seem as though this type of landscape is new to the people of Oklahoma. I found it interesting in the sentence explaining how the setting might introduce a psychological and emotional state of the incoming characters. In the next paragraph, Steinbeck includes the word pale more often, which could also introduce the characters. In another way, maybe the word pale suggests that's what the characters aren't. We know this novel is about the Dust Bowl and farmers moving westward, so maybe the paleness is what the farmers are escaping. The color red, anger, gray, sadness, everything the farmers are feeling and are using as an excuse to escape.
Hmm. 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 Nicely done. Nicely done. I think Gemma is revising as we are doing this live.
I know I'm good.
You're okay. Do you want to read yours now?
Sure.
Thank you.
I agree with Mr. Chalecki in the fact that I enjoyed how the author used an abundance of figurative language to describe the scenery and how abrupt the whole situation was. Using language such as symbolism and metaphor, Steinbeck described how it seemed as if the world was ending. Although a tragic entrance to a story, it was one that was real and hid no meaning. I specifically like the reiteration of swept away, washed away, or gust because they provide the imagery needed to set the scene for this book. Although the Great Depression is something that is hard to picture if you were not present, Steinbeck does an amazing job at making the struggles and adversity clear that came out of nowhere. As for my quote, I think it uses foreshadowing for the rest of the story. In this paragraph, Steinbeck describes how women felt safe as long as their husbands and men of the family were secure. In this case, that is how the reader can tell it is more than just a physical storm, but it is one that could wipe away a whole lifestyle. This provides for the anticipation to read.
Hmm. I like smiling when I'm reading student work. All right. Thank you, both of you. Really, thank you. Now that you've read it, both Maggie and Gemma, would you do something differently? Do you like what you've written? Like, describe, now that you've done it, you've put it out there for everybody to see. Can you talk to us through the experience of writing this, and also looking back as a writer? Is there anything that you would revise, something that you would improve upon, something that you didn't realize before, but now that you've read it and written it, you would change, or anything like that? So I'll begin with you, Maggie.
I think I would just kind of go back and change how I wrote my analysis. I feel like it didn't really make a lot of sense.
Oh, okay. What makes you say that?
I mean, I think it just like I could have expanded on it more.
Okay, what part? Okay, okay, I can respect that. What part do you think you could have expanded upon more?
Like my last two sentences.
Can you highlight that for us, please? And put it in yellow so we can all see that. Thank you. Okay, what makes you think that? How do you think you can develop that more so, Maggie?
Because I feel like I only wrote two sentences on it, and I feel like that was kind of a big part of my response, and I probably
Mhm.
could have said more about it.
Okay, so and I think it's beautiful, by the way. I like the intention of it. I really do. I would have not have thought that. Do you mind if I ask other students to kind of give their 2 cents to see how they would have, how they can develop your idea? Do you mind if I ask other students that question,
Yeah,
Meg?
go ahead.
Okay. Anyone? How would you add to, or how would you help Maggie develop this idea? And if you do have a response, let me know, and I will open the document to you so you can add on to that as well. Any other brave souls out there? Mm.
Can you zoom in a little bit so we can see the words?
Sure. Who was that? I couldn't, because I'm looking at my screen. Who was that just spoke?
Morgan.
Okay. Good morning, Morgan.
Hi.
Is that better or bigger? That
A
sounds
little bit.
okay. Let's see.
Sorry.
No, don't apologize. Is that okay or bigger? Okay, bigger.
That's good.
It is? Right.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So do you want me to add you to the document as well?
I'm reading everything now to look
Oh.
over it.
Okay. As Morgan is looking at Maggie's, Gemma, what about yours? Any, like, now that you read it, you wrote it, what are your thoughts about your piece and your response to it?
I think I would have expanded upon like why I included the second quote.
You're talking about, can you highlight that for me, please? I mean, not for me, for us. And yeah, and if you can highlight, yeah, thank you. Why? What makes you say that?
Because like I was just going through the first couple pages because I remember like
Mhm.
I liked like I saw your response and I liked it too. And then like I found that at the end of chapter 1
Mhm.
and like I feel like I could have expanded on how it foreshadowed since I'm
Mhm.
further along in the book
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
how it like helped the reader understand how important the situation was.
Literally, what you just said, you could have written.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like, this is the reason why I purposely had asked anybody to do this, because I wanted you to realize that everyone already has the idea in their head. You're just kind of being more comfortable of articulating that or expressing that instead of second guessing yourself. I mean, don't get me wrong, even my entry was revised at least 2 or 3 times. So it's not, you should be, not you, when I say you, I mean the collective you. Everyone should feel comfortable revising their work regularly so that it just becomes almost natural. Like you go back and like, oh, that doesn't make sense. Or, oh, let me make that more clear. Oh, I can develop that more. When you start asking yourself those questions, that should be an indication to yourself that, oh, this is what writers do. They rethink, they reshape, they refocus, they change. You know, they go through the process of what the process of writing. To quote Toni Morrison, or to paraphrase it, she will say, "This is what writing is," right? You're changing, you're looking, you're revising, you're shaping it, you're molding it, you're constantly changing it because your thoughts, your emotions change as well. So that's what should be happening during your critical conversations. Does anyone have any questions about this now? Was this workshop, if you will, did this kind of help everybody understand specifically what I'm looking for?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because as I mentioned earlier, I have not looked at everybody's. I have not. I did that purposely. But since I was getting emails about confusions and stuff like that, I thought that it would be a good idea to kind of like do it live, so that everyone can see and feel what the writers are feeling and doing as they craft this. So I hope that this was a good exercise for everybody to see what the critical conversation looks like. And I will be posting this on Google Classroom, on both for second period and for obviously for yourselves as well, so you can see the process of the critical conversation. So I appreciate both. Can we give both Maggie and Gemma a round of applause again for being so brave to do this work for us? Yeah, because it takes bravery, and I respect brave people. So any questions? Okay. Okay, so I think that I'm done with what I needed to do. And I will see you guys on Tuesday. Everyone should have a revised version of the reading schedule. And so just keep on going. And I think I was way ahead. Well, I'm done with the book, but that's why I guess there was some disconnect between what I was thinking and what you were thinking. But hopefully this workshop kind of cleared up any confusion as to what I'm expecting. So if there's no questions, thank you very much. And I will have a good weekend. Stay safe and secure and healthy. And I'll see you on Tuesday. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Weekend.
Stay safe.
Thank you.
Thank you. Oops, how do I turn this off? Okay, there.